Hello and welcome back to our Legend of Heroes Trails in the Sky 1 playthrough. In our last episode, we put on the Geneve Royal Academy's annual festival. We did the play, we helped donate 1 million gil, 1 million gil, 1 million mira to Matron Theresa to rebuild the orphanage. We gave her an escort so she could get back to the village, and she was subsequently attacked and we assume taken prisoner along with her escort. The kids are all right apparently, but we're going to check what's going on ourselves. Well, we may as well exterminate it. Hello. If you're sure, then. Gee, that's a lot of jabbers. Right. Right. As you will. It's a pity there's no AoE. Ow. You nasty plant. Java, aqua bleed, the stove plant. Ow! Nasty little thing. Oh, that's not nice. Just move Estelle back a little bit. So blur on you. Ow. Little tear. Got him! Yay!
Nicely done.
Got a nice bit of EXP. Some lovely crystals. A prickly seed. An evade 2. A fish fillet. A fish egg. And that was it. And we've exterminated a second monster on Golby Sideway, Seaside Way. Go us. Right. Who had evade 2? Who had evade 1 is what I actually mean. Was we can now equip evade 2. Like that. On we go. Oh well. Ew.
Alright, we're good to go.
Well, at first glance there don't appear to be any new clues here, so I should probably head for the village. And then they'll tell us to come all the way back here because we missed something incredibly obvious. Well, when I say we, I mean me, obviously. There's no lady behind the desk. What's going on here? Alvin says the kids were mugged. What the hell? When does it stop? Shelby says, I wonder if the muggers and the arsonists are the same people. There are some things that no sane person could ever do. It makes me so angry. Well, good for you. Lucia says, all the orphans have been crying ever since they got back. Why? Why would anybody pick on them like that? Let's find out, shall we? Clem says, oh. Mary says, Miss Kloe. Kloe says, everyone. Daniel cries. Polly says, it was so scary. Estelle says, thank goodness you're all safe. Joshua asks, pardon me, but what about the others? How is Matron Theresa? Carla replies, don't worry, they're not hurt. They haven't woken up though, which has me a little worried. Joshua says, if I may then, I'd like to see them. Joshua says, no doubt about it, someone used sleeping powder. Yeah, sure they're just not on a journey to the 1st? To the 14th? No? Okay. Estelle asks, sleeping powder? Joshua says, yes, there's still a faint hint of it in the air. It's probably the kind without side effects, so there's no real need for concern. Estelle says, Hey Clem, can you tell us what happened? Clem pouts. Mary says, I'll tell you. We were walking along the coast road with the bracer lady, and these strange guys in masks showed up out of nowhere. The braces lady fought them for a while, but they surrounded her. She fought them to save us and Matron Theresa. That's why... And Mary starts to cry. Estelle says, there, it must have been so scary. Clem says, they took an envelope from the matron. I wanted really bad to get it back. Mr. Joshua, I couldn't help her. Joshua says, don't think that way, Clem. I know that Matron Theresa would just be happy that all of you are safe. That's why you mustn't blame yourself. Clem says, but I... Mary continues to cry. Estelle glowers. I don't believe this. Who would do such a thing? Kloe considers for a moment. Whoever it is must certainly be skilled at hiding his or her presence. After all, the bracer wasn't alerted and Matron Theresa is unconscious. Estelle says, Kloe. Kloe says, I get the feeling that this was very deliberate. I'd say that the criminals were probably targeting the donations Matron Theresa had on her. If we find the money, we'll find the culprit. Joshua nods. Yes, you're probably right. Estelle says, you seem a little calmer than earlier. Kloe replies, yes. In order to help the matron and the kids, I must compose myself. Regardless, we must find who did this as soon as possible. A man's voice says, she's right, you know. Oh, it's Redhead Cloud again. Estelle cries out in surprise. Joshua says, Agate. Agate says, I heard what was going on at the guild. Looks like you've gotten wrapped up in one hell of a mess. Estelle snaps, hey, don't make light of the situation. Kana got hurt too. Agate says, I know that, so quit your yapping. Kana's no amateur either. It'd take someone pretty skilled to beat her. How about you give me a quick rundown of what's been going on here? Joshua says, okay. Joshua and Estelle told Agate the whole story about the donations for the orphanage. Agate says, Alright then, there's definitely something weird going on. Estelle asks, weird how? Agate says, well, here's the thing. You know that Raven gang that was hanging out at the warehouse? They're all gone now. The warehouse is empty. Estelle says, then they must be the ones who assaulted Matron Theresa. Joshua shakes his head. I'm not so sure about that. I really doubt they have what it takes to get the upper hand on Kana. Estelle sighs. Yeah, that's true. They talk a big game, but I don't think they could back it up. Agate says, yeah, give them a single hard look and they shut right up. However, today they're suddenly nowhere to be found. Couple that with today's little incident, and what do you get? Like I said, something weird is going on. Joshua says, even if they're not directly responsible for the fire, I do feel like they're involved somehow. Agate says, yeah, but this ain't the time to go checking that out. Come on, greenhorns, let's go. Estelle asks, what are you talking about? Where are we going? Agate sighs, are you slow in the head or something? Obviously, we're going to the seaside path where the crime happened. How those idiots did it doesn't matter right now. We've got to focus on finding some clues as to where they are. Estelle says, true. Joshua says, understood. We'll help. And so we leave the White Magnolia. Estelle asks, wow, how'd it get to be so late? Agate spits, bah, this is no good. How are we supposed to search in the dark? Hey, what was that sound? Sorry about that. Kloe says, oh Zeke, where have you been? Agate asks, what the hell? Estelle says, that's Zeke. He's Kloe's gear falcon companion. Agate says, as long as he's friendly. Zeke screeches. And again. Kloe says, understood. Thank you, Zeke. Zeke screeches again. Agate says, now I've seen everything. So, Missy, what did your friend there tell you? Kloe replies, the whereabouts of the ruffians who assaulted Theresa, evidently. It seems that he saw the attack. Agate laughs. That's a good one. Estelle says, nice going, Zeke. Joshua nods. Yes, most impressive. Zeke screeches again. Agate says, now wait one damn minute. You mean to tell me you actually believe that load of bull? Joshua says, we've seen him communicate several times. Estelle adds, hey, if you don't believe us, you don't have to come along. Come on, guys. Kloe says, all right. Zeke screeches again, and then flies away. And 3 of the whole party members chase after him. Agate says, wait up, you punks, and then chases after them. Agate says, does seem like it's homing in on something, but come on, are we really following that thing? If this is your idea of a joke, it's not funny. Kloe says, it's not a joke. The matron and the children are like family to me. Agate harumphs. Fine, then. I thought you were yanking my chain, but I guess I'll tag along. Estelle says, gee, why don't you say what you really think? Joshua says, all that aside, we need to get going after Zeke. And we shall get going off after Zeke. I think the problem's going to be, what do we do when we reach the fork? Like right here. Oh, okay, that's what happens. He turns a circle and flies. Oh. Estelle asks, isn't that the way to the lighthouse? Joshua says, let's go check it out. We arrive at the Varennes Lighthouse. Estelle says, just as I thought. Agathe says, the Varennes Lighthouse. It belongs to the city of Rouen. If I remember right, there's a man who lives here all alone. Kloe says, this appears to be the place. I'm almost positive that the ones who attacked Matron Theresa and the children are here in this building. Joshua says, which means that there's a high chance the perpetrators have taken over the lighthouse. Estelle says, from the looks of it, that seems to be the only entrance. I guess that all there is left to do is to check it out for ourselves. Kloe nods. Yes. Agathe says, now hold on there a minute, girl. Kloe says, I want to see the truth with my own eyes. Agathe asks, what the hell are you talking about? Kloe says, I want to know why someone would do such a horrible thing like that. So please, take me with you. Agathe says, I can see where you're coming from, but... Estelle says, come on, don't act all stingy now. The only reason we know about this place to begin with was because of Kloe. Joshua says, and I can guarantee she can handle herself. So, at least you don't have to worry about her getting in the way. Kloe says, Estelle, Joshua. Agathe sighs. Fine, have it your way. But I hope you remember that these guys are the ones who'd put Kana out of commission. Make sure you don't let down your guard. Kloe says, I'll keep that in mind. Estelle says, well, I guess it's decided then. Joshua says, all right, let's hurry and check the place out. Well, let's in through the door of the lighthouse. Estelle frowns. Those guys again? Kloe asks, aren't they the ones from before? Agathe says, I swear if I wasn't looking at them with my own eyes right now, I'd never believe it. Hey, what the hell are you all doing here? The Raven Gang members' eyes are blank and emotionless. Agathe says, hey. Joshua shouts, Agathe, look out. Agathe asks, where are they getting this strength from? Dean, you son of a... Dean just looks blankly ahead. And everyone draws a knife, because why not? It's not a JRPG, it's a 1950s good old-fashioned greaser fight. Agathe says, this is just perfect. Now I don't know what kind of drugs you're smoking, but if I have to beat some sense back into you, I will. Ow. That's right, he's the spinach fiend.
Let's do this!
Now! Light of the heavens, heal these battered wings! Raise your flash!
Ow. Do you two mind? Jeez, and that's with defense up. Okay, Tira for Joshua. Because why not, right?
Care for a rematch?
I'm sure they will, red-haired Cloud. Possibly when they've woken up. Estelle says, I can't believe it. These guys are 100 times stronger than when we dealt with them at the warehouse. Kloe adds, they appear to be acting rather strange. I wonder what's going on. Agate says, it looks like they're being controlled by someone. Estelle asks, controlled? Joshua nods, yeah, I agree. I'd say it's some sort of special hypnotic induction using a combination of drugs and suggestion. This allows the person controlling them to draw out their maximum physical potential. Estelle asks, can someone really do that? Agate says, of course, but they need to be pretty skilled to even attempt such a thing. And I can only think of one group that could pull off something like this. Kloe asks, you have an idea who might be responsible? Agate says, yeah, possibly. But there's no time to talk about it now, let's head upstairs. The real perpetrator should be up there. Estelle nods. Alright, let's go. Oh, it's Rice and friends. Estelle shouts, here they come again. Joshua says, it looks like we don't have any choice but to put them down the hard way. Yeah, let's drop a massive boulder on enemies. Well, it got him. Okay. We'll quit lying down on the job. Because it's what you say to do. Oh, he's so nearly done. Let's finish him off. Very, very slowly, by the looks.
Well, that takes care of that.
Yes, it does. On we go. Rocco's here. Kloe says, I'm really sorry about this. I really don't want to fight with anyone being controlled, but Agate says this isn't the time to be holding back. We don't need to kill them, just knock them out. Alright, Nitro. Let's see how you do with some magic, shall we? Apologies again. I have no idea what's going on outside, but Dawn is not happy with it, whatever it is. Right, down he goes. More terror for Joshua.
That's that then. Let's move out.
Wonder who's waiting up here. No one. Okay. Estelle asks, "Hey, hear that?" Stuart Gilbert laughs. A job well done. Now we'll be able to blame this mess on those punks and everything will work out perfectly. Black-clad man says, "So I take it that you're satisfied with our work?" Stuart Gilbert says, "Yes, you've handled things nicely. But just to make sure, you haven't left any incriminating evidence, right?" The other black-clad man laughs. "You've got nothing to worry about there. And even when those fools regain their senses, they won't remember a thing." The first black-clad man says the lighthouse keeper shouldn't wake up until morning either. Stuart Gilbert says, "I'm relieved to hear that. With this, the matron of that orphanage should give up on her dreams of rebuilding it, and the series of incidents along with this arson will end up looking like the work of those lowlives. We can get 2 birds with 1 stone. It's perfect." Black-clad man 2 says, "We're glad to see that our clients are happy with our work." Black-clad man 1 says, "However, if you don't mind me asking, what's the benefit in destroying the orphanage?" That's the one thing I've been having a hard time understanding. Stuart Gilbert laughs. "Please, if you really want to know so bad, I'll let you in on the secret. The mayor intends to transform that entire area into a series of very, very upscale vacation homes." Black-clad man 1 says, "Interesting." Stuart Gilbert says, "A scenic seaside area not far from Rouen City. What more favourable geographic conditions could there be than that for a vacation home? We'll build lavish estates there and then sell them off to the highest bidders. That's been the mayor's plan all along." Black-clad man 2 says, "Now that's a risky plan if I've heard one. But I still don't get why it was necessary to burn the orphanage to the ground." Stuart Gilbert laughs. "Think about it. Imagine trying to sell a luxury estate of someone with a ramshackle place like that, barring the view. Not to mention all the little brats running around close by and making a ruckus." Black-clad man 1 says, "I see. Something like that would definitely cut their value in half. But instead of going to an extreme like that, why not just buy up the place?" Stuart Gilbert laughs. "You didn't really think that stubborn woman would sell off the land left to her by her late husband, did you? And if we were to haul away the burned-out remains while they were away and built something in its place, there's not much they could do, could they? And since they have no money to rebuild the place, they'll have no choice but to accept their fate." Kloe asks, That was your reasoning? Stuart Gilbert asks, how long have you been standing there? Kloe asks, for something like that? You hurt Matron Theresa and the children and burnt their memories to ashes. You deprived those children of their smiles. For what? Stuart Gilbert asks, how did you know we were here? But before that, what are those lowlives doing downstairs? Estelle says, too bad for you. They're taking a long nap. And to think that the mayor was behind it all. Lots of faces we've seen before seem to be involved too. Black-clad man 1 says, so you know who we are, do you? Black-clad man 2 says, we've been briefly acquainted with that red-headed bracer before. Agate says, ha! So running off like dogs with your tails between your legs and sicking some monsters on me means we're acquainted, huh? But now I've finally got you where I want you. Stuart Gilbert protests, kill them all. Now that they've seen my face, I can't let them walk out of here alive. Kloe says, it's unfortunate that you've fallen this far, Gilbert. Black-clad man 1 says, well, since this is a request from our client, I guess we'll just have to comply. Black-clad man 2 says, let's see what you've got, braces. Estelle replies, that's exactly what I was thinking. Kloe says, just because you're hired help, don't think that you're any less responsible. Agate says, I think it's time to make you taste the power of the heavy blade. That's ever so slightly painful. They are black-clad soldiers. They have 1,280 HP. They have no particular elemental weakness. They don't drop anything. A combatant clad all in black, highly trained and well-versed in a variety of skills. Right, well... this is what we saved the Libet Breaks for, after all. Oh, come on.
Now. Light of the heavens, feel these battered wings. Radiant flash! Here I come!
You don't particularly want to be our friend, do you? Tierra on red-haired cloud. It's really not nice of you, you know. We got him! Yay!
That's that then. Let's move out.
Stuart Gilbert gasps. This can't be. Agate says, Gilbert, steward of the mayor, and you boys in black. In accordance with the laws of the Bracers Guild, you are hereby placed under arrest. Give it up and surrender. Stuart Gilbert gulps. Ugh. Black-clad man 2 says, You're pretty tough, I'll give you that. Going toe-to-toe with you hasn't disappointed me at all. Black-clad man 1 says, The lieutenant's going to be mad. He warned us about this. We shouldn't have been as careless as we were. Joshua asks, The lieutenant? Do you mean that... Sorry once again. Do you mean that guy wearing the red mask who was negotiating with the Sky Pirates? Black-clad man says, I'm surprised you know about that. Black-clad man 1 says, It looks like you dogs from the guild are better at sniffing things out than we thought. Estelle growls, Your insults are pretty funny considering we just gave you a serious beatdown. Now hurry up and throw down your weapons and surrender. Black-clad man 2 says, Sorry, but we can't do that. Stuart Gilbert asks, What? Estelle rages, What do you think you're doing? Black-clad man 2 says, Don't move. Come any closer and this guy's brains are going to be splattered all over this place. Stuart Gilbert asks, What is the meaning of this? What do you intend to do by threatening your employer? Black-clad man 2 says, You're wrong about that. You are not our employer, the mayor is. Black-clad man 1 says, But whether it was you or the mayor here, the outcome would have been the same. We only cooperated with you because we shared a mutual interest. Black-clad man 2 says, And we couldn't care less whether you live or die. Stuart Gilbert pleads, Please, don't shoot me. Agate snaps, Cut the tears and the crap. Don't think you can get away by trying to fool us with a show like that. Stuart Gilbert gasps in pain. My leg! Oh, my leg! Kloe asks, Gilbert? Agate just frowns. Joshua says, Looks like they were serious about what they said. Black-clad man 1 says, If this isn't enough of a show for you, then how about we blow the brains out of the lighthouse keeper? Estelle says, He has nothing to do with this. Black-clad man 2 says, If his life means anything to you, then I suggest you back up. Let's see, like over by the stairs? Agate says, Seems we don't have much of a choice. Black-clad man 1 laughs. That's right, do what you're told like the dogs you are. Black-clad man 2 says, And it looks like this is where we bid you farewell. And off he runs. And the first one jumps up and goes after him. Estelle yells, Wait! Agate growls, Don't think you're getting away this time. Joshua says, A rope? Estelle says, These guys were seriously prepared for anything. Agate says, I'm leaving you to take care of that idiot steward and the rest. Estelle asks, What? Agate says, I'm going after these guys. The rest of you report to Jean and ask for further instructions. Kloe gasps, Ah! Did you just see that? Asks Estelle. Shouldn't we go after those guys too? Joshua says, No. Didn't you just hear what Agate said? We can't just forget about Gilbert and those guys from the Raven gang. Kloe agrees. That's right. And though I think Gilbert got what was coming to him, he is still hurt. Estelle pouts. Oh, all right. I hate to say this, but I guess we'll have to leave the rest up to Agate. Thus, in the end, Estelle and the others were able to take back the stolen money without incident. By the time the mayor steward and the group of delinquents were safely locked up in the Minoria windmill shed, morning had already broken. Kana says, "Now then, I'll keep an eye on things here. Could you return to Rouen and report back to Jean?" Estelle says, "That's fine with me, but are you sure you'll be okay?" Kana says, "Come on, I just got a whiff of sleeping powder is all. It all happened a little too fast for me to remember who attacked me, though. Pretty shameful, I know." Joshua says, "Don't beat yourself up over it. You still managed to fend off 4 attackers." Kloe adds, "The children are safe thanks to you." "I can't thank you enough." Kana laughs. "Well, I guess there's that at least. Still, will Agate be okay facing them on his own? I know he's tough and all, but it still worries me." Estelle says, "Yeah, if they somehow manage to get the drop on him." Joshua says, "For now, we just have to trust that he knows what he's doing. He's been after those guys for a while now. He knows how they work, so I think they'll have a tough time taking him on." Estelle says, "Yeah, I guess you're right. We'll just have to focus on what we can do." Kana nods. "You're right. You're exactly right. I'll hang on to the donated money until the matron wakes up. If those guys want it, they'll have to pry it from my cold, dead fingers. You can count on me. I'll be fine, so you go ahead." Kloe says, "All right. Be careful." Estelle says, "Let's go, guys." Well, we are off. Back to, Rouen, I guess. Estelle says, "Delmore was behind everything. He was just pretending to be all kind and everything from the start." Kloe says, I've been kind of wondering about this, but will we be able to catch the mayor this time?" Estelle asks, "Huh?" Joshua says, "She raises a good question. This may be difficult. The Bracers Guild has a non-interference policy when it comes to government affairs. And considering he has control over the whole Rouen region, arresting the mayor isn't going to be easy." Estelle asks, "Hold on a second. Doesn't anyone else find that strange?" Joshua says, "It is funny, but the law is the law. That's why the guild can have branches anywhere, even in the Erebonian Empire." Estelle says, "Yeah, but..." Joshua says, "Anyway, let's just get to the guild and talk to Jean. I think he'll have some useful advice for us." Estelle says, "Okay." Kloe just ponders some. Estelle says, "I'm fine, don't worry about me. We just need to make the man in charge pay his tab." Kloe nods. "Yes, that's right." Well, off we go then. Right, we have to go down onto the beach. Kloe says, Estelle asks, what is it, Kloe? Kloe asks, well, are you two going to the guild? I just remembered something I need to do, so can you go on ahead without me? I'll catch up to you shortly. Joshua says, that's fine. Are you going back to the campus then? Kloe nods, yes. I think I should report in to the headmaster and let him know what's happening. Estelle says, okay, I got it. We'll be waiting for you at the guild. And off they go. Kloe says, I'm sorry, Estelle, and you too, Joshua. Kloe produced a notepad and pen and began scribbling furiously. This ought to do it. Sieg. Jean says, I understand. It's just hard to believe that Mayor Delmore is behind these recent events. It's certainly a major incident. Estelle says, so, Jean, do you think the mayor can be caught? Jean replies, well, I'm afraid it's going to be rather difficult. The only way it'll really happen is if he can be caught in the act. Joshua says, I figured as much. Estelle says, you can't be serious. So we just have to allow a corrupt mayor to stay in power. Shaw tries to calm her down. Now, there's no need to panic. Racer's Guild's hands may be tied, but the Royal Army can get him. Estelle says, oh. Jean says, Estelle, Joshua, I'd like for you to go to the mayor's estate and question him. It doesn't matter if he gets angry, I just want you to buy us some time. Joshua asks, and you'll contact the Royal Army in the meantime? Jean laughs. Precisely. I'll contact Leiston Fortress HQ at the Orbital Communications System to request assistance. Estelle says, I don't like having to rely on the army, but I don't see any other option. Okay, once Kloe catches up to us, we'll go and see the mayor at once. Kloe runs in, quite breathless. I made it. Sorry for the delay. Estelle says, not at all. Perfect timing, in fact. Joshua says, that was pretty quick for a run to the campus. Kloe gasps, well, I'm pretty fast on my feet. So what's the plan? Estelle says, we were just talking about going to the mayor's estate. We have to stall him with an interview while the Royal Army is contacted. Kloe says, I see. Maybe that wasn't so necessary after all. Estelle looks blankly, like she has no idea. Then says, so will you be coming with us? Kloe says, oh yes, please allow me to accompany you. Joshua says, we'll be counting on you to contact the army, Jean. Jean says, just leave it to me. Oh, that's 2,000 monies for the Java. We can report on that. We got 2,000 monies and 5 BP, and we are Junior Bracer 5th class. Jean says, much obliged. You appear to have achieved your goal without injury. If you complete any other jobs, be sure to give me all the juicy details. Well, okay. If we must. Alright. So we can open Joshua's 6th. Can open Estelle's 6th. And Kloe's 6th is already open, so Joshua's 6th slot is open. Estelle's 6th slot is open. Okay. Quartzes. I think I'm going to get EP2 for Estelle and a hit 2 for Joshua. Think for a moment. Alright, so Joshua. Hit 2. Alright. Okay, I can also I'm going to give Joshua Eagle Eye because I have no idea what Chaos Brand is. But we will find out, I am very sure. Okay, now. Chaos Brand inflicts confuse, apparently. Could be interesting. Right, to the mares. It's the Hotel Blanche, so that's not where we need to go. Estelle sighs. Man, this place is huge. Is he really doing all that nasty stuff from a place like this? From a place this nice? Joshua says, I don't think that really matters. Kloe says, Mayor Delmore is originally from a large family of nobles. I think this estate has been passed down for generations. Estelle sighs. Okay, so the estate wasn't paid for in blood at least. That's something. Anyway, we need to find him and question him. What about you, boy? Do you know what's going on? Gardner says, time was, important people used to come here. Important or not, they sure did. Important or not, they sure did up their hair funny. If you say so. Hello. Flora says, welcome to the Rouen mayoral estate. I'm terribly sorry, but the mayor is currently attending to some guests. Perhaps you could come back another time. Estelle asks, what? Now hold on, just 1 second. Joshua says, I'm pretty sure we know who their guest is. It's Duke Dunan, isn't it? Estelle asks, what? Flora gasps, why, that's exactly it. Have you received an invitation as well? Joshua says, yes, it came directly from the mayor himself. I apologise for the inconvenience, but would you mind? Flora says, now that I take a closer look, you appear to be bracers. If circumstances demand it, then please go on up. The mayor and the duke are in the banquet hall on the 2nd floor. Joshua smiles. Excellent, thank you for your help. Flora blushes. All right, she says. Flora goes on. With so many guests arriving, I really must prepare some tea. Please pardon me. Estelle looks shocked. So does Kloe. Joshua asks, what? Estelle says, oh, nothing. Kloe says, I was thinking how impressive it was that you knew the Duke was here. Joshua says, oh, it's just a matter of asking the right questions. He's planning to sell vacation homes to the rich, remember? Duke Dunan might as well have a bullseye target painted on his misshapen head. Kloe says, wow. Estelle says, that's smart thinking. Where'd you come up with that line about the mayor inviting us? Joshua says, it wasn't a line. He did invite us over the first time we met him. If those ravens start making trouble again, feel free to drop by and let me know, or something like that. Estelle says, oh, that's right. Kloe laughs, though he did invite us. Joshua says, exactly. Well, why don't we head up to the banquet hall? Why not, indeed? Dario says, I must wonder what's being discussed behind these doors right now. The master is speaking with Dunan, you see. Well, let's go see what he's talking about. Gee, it's a big table for 2 people. Duke Dunan is severely intoxicated. I like the sound of that. Iran would be the perfect place for a vacation home. Think I might stay for a while. Duke Delmore laughs. I had a feeling you'd think so. I'll see to it that you get the finest place available, my lord. I believe you'll be quite satisfied. Duke Dunan laughs. You're quite the smooth talker. But good, money is no object. Show me an estate that is worthy of your future king. Make it as splendid as your holdings here. Butler Philip says, "Pardon me, my lord, but wait a moment. The Queen asked you to consult with her before spending such an amount of..." Duke Dunan shouts, "Silence, Philip! I'm to be your next king. This is every day for a man of my standing." Mayor Dalmore says, "Yes, of course. Well said, Your Grace. We can get a written contract together shortly. But first, one more drink." Duke Dunan laughs. "Oh." Estelle says, "Hi there, greetings from the Bracers Guild." Mayor Dalmore says, "You." Duke Dunan hiccups. "What do you people want? You look kind of familiar." Dr. Philip says, "Oh, it's you." Estelle says, "Hi, Mr. Butler. We just dropped by to talk to the mayor. No biggie." Mayor Dalmore says, "This won't do. If you're here on guild business, you should speak with some semblance of manners. I'm in the middle of an important discussion, so why don't you come back later?" Joshua says, "I apologize for our rudeness, Mayor. We intend no disrespect. We simply came to report to you that we have identified the arsonist." Mayor Dalmore says, "Ah, that. Well then, I suppose. My lord, would you excuse us for a moment?" Dunan hiccups again and goes on, "No. Say what you're going to say here. This sounds interesting." Mayor Dalmore says, "But..." Estelle says, "It's okay. Maybe the Duke will have something to add. It won't do any harm for him to hear this, will it?" Mayor Dalmore says, "Well, if we must. While we're on the subject, it seems that Matron Theresa was attacked again last night. Would the arsonist be linked to that?" Joshua says, "It seems very likely. Unfortunately, the attackers are still at large." Mayor Dalmore says, "I see. Still, at least you say you know who they are now. So, who did it?" Estelle asks, "Who indeed? It's exactly who you think it is, Mayor Dalmore." Mayor Dalmore says, "Ah, I see. That's quite a shame. I was hoping I could make them see the error of their ways before it was too late. I suppose that was a vain hope on my part." Estelle asks, "Huh? Who are you talking about, Mr. Mayor?" Mayor Dalmore asks, "What do you mean, who?" "Why, the Ravens, of course. They've been in hiding ever since last night." Joshua replies, "I'm sorry, sir, but they aren't responsible. This time they claim to be victims themselves." Mayor Dalmore says, "What?" Estelle smirks. "So without further ado, the culprit is..." Drumroll, please. Well, as much as I'd like to say Duke Dunan just to see his response, we'll go with Mayor Dalmore. Estelle says, "You, Mayor Dalmore?" Mayor Dalmore is struck speechless. Joshua says, "We already have Gilbert in custody, and we know everything. We also have proof that you stole the money donated to restore the orphanage your lackey set on fire. Can you deny that charge?" Mayor Dalmore says, "Nonsense. Do you think I know these people in the black clothes?" Estelle says, "Well now, that's a little strange. We didn't say anything about black clothes." Mayor Dalmore gulps. "This is absolutely ridiculous. Gilbert was acting alone." Estelle sighs. "You don't know when to give up, do you, old man?" Joshua says, "We know that you were plotting to build vacation homes on the land the orphanage occupied. Do you still deny the charges laid against you?" Mayor Dalmore shouts, "Persistent little brats. But I've had those development plans in place for ages. They're just part of Rouen city planning. What reason would I have to be so impatient that I'd resort to criminal acts?" Estelle says, "Well?" A man's voice asks, "How about a mountain of debts to pay off?" Niall enters the room. Estelle asks, "Niall?" Joshua asks, "What are you doing here?" Niall says, "I figured I'd come to the mayor's place to do some investigating, and I see you two going in. The whole thing smelled fishy, so I decided to sneak in. That's it in a nutshell." Mayor Dalmore asks, "Just who the hell are you?" Niall replies, "Oh, I'm a reporter with the Labelle News. The name's Niall Burns. Actually, I've been checking into the city's financial affairs recently. And what do I see but that Mayor Dalmore here has been diverting funds from the city budget lately?" Mayor Dalmore stutters, They're funds for the expansion project." Niall replies, "I'm not buying it. You haven't even started construction. I thought it was kind of strange, so I dug deeper and found links to the airship company's services. Now that was quite the little surprise. 1 year ago, you took more than a few trips to the Calvard Republic." Mayor Dalmore explains, "I was just sightseeing." Niall goes on, "A reasonable claim, but the truth is that you've amassed a nice big debt over there, am I right?" Mayor Dalmore is struck dumb once again. Estelle interjects, "You're losing me. How?" Kloe replies, "By using town funds to speculate in risky commodities in the hopes of cashing in. Buying goods when they're cheap, selling them when they're high, that kind of thing." Estelle says, "Oh, I get it. So how much did he lose?" Niall replies, "From what my fellow reporters over there told me, something to the tune of 100 million 100 million Mira." Estelle shouts, 100 million Mira? Joshua says that's 100 times the amount donated to the orphanage's rebuilding. I can certainly see why one might turn to crime over an amount that high. Junan hiccups. 100 million. I'm pretty free with my spending, but I've got nothing on you. Mayor Dalmore gulps once again. Estelle sighs, "This isn't a competition, you know." Niall says, "Now that you mention it, he took funds from the city budget to pay off his debts and stave off any questions. But I can't understand why he would turn to arson and theft to build his vacation homes. It just all seems so random." Mayor Dalmore asks, "Where is your proof? Go ahead and run your story with all its wild speculations. I'll sue you and the newspaper for libel." Niall says, "Suddenly confident, are we?" Mayor Dalmore goes on, "And you all, the Bracers Guild does not have the authority to arrest me. I'm the mayor. I want you out of here now." Estelle frowns. "I guess he's right." Joshua says he knows his rights. Kloe says, "Mayor, may I ask you one question?" Mayor Dalmore asks, "What now?" "What is a student of the Royal Academy doing associating with such people? Disgraceful. Return to campus at once." Kloe looked Mayor Dalmore directly in the eyes, her expression cold and stern. Kloe asks, "Why did you not use your own assets to pay off your debt? 100 million mira is certainly a lot of money, but I think that House Dalmore surely has enough assets to settle the matter. This estate, for instance, could easily sell for at least 100 million mira." Mayor Dalmore stutters. "Don't be ridiculous. This estate has been handed down in the Dalmore family for generations. How could I ever simply let it go?" Kloe says the orphanage was no different. For many it was a place fondly remembered. No one has the right to destroy something like that. How could you do such a thing? Mayor Dalmore asks, "How dare you liken this estate to that dilapidated old hovel?" Kloe says, "You care for no one but yourself. More than being the mayor or being the head of House Dalmore. You pitiful man." Mayor Dalmore starts laughing. I must assume it's an evil, maniacal laugh at this point. He says, "You have quite a way with words, young lady, but let's see if you change your tune in a few minutes." Mayor Dalmore calls, "Fango, Bronco, come, it's dinner time." Estelle asks, "What the?" Joshua says, "That smell." "Oh, aren't you delightful?" Niall gasped, "What the hell are those things?" Junon slurs, "Monsters?" And passes out. Butler Philip cries, "My lord!" Kloe says, "Unbelievable. You actually keep monsters as pets." Mayor Dalmore laughs. "Everything you think you know will die with you here. Don't worry. If there's anything left of you, I'll dump it in the river." And he continues laughing his maniacal laugh. Niall says he's crazy. Bronco growls. Fango growls as well. And they've knocked over the wine on the table. You know, you didn't have to do that. It was perfectly nice wine. Estelle says, "So is fighting freaky monsters part of the stalling plan now?" Joshua says, "Well, at least now we can arrest him for trying to kill us. I'm sure the other stuff will stick too after this." Kloe says, "I bear you both no ill will, but I will not allow you to harm anyone." Ow! That's ow, okay. Bronco has 1788 HP. He's not weak to any element in particular. He doesn't drop any items. A monster bred for war has extremely high offensive skills, but is weak against arts. Fango has 2140 HP. He's not weak to any specific element. He doesn't drop anything. A monster bred for war has extremely high arts defense, but is weak against physical attacks. So we need to arts. Bronco. Ow. Okay, and he resisted confusion, as you do. Hell! No! 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 We'd learnt the recipe for rainbow jelly beans. Oh,
Not now.
alright. Elia Rose.
We're good to go.
We've learned its recipe. Right. Ow! Ow! Not nice. Ow. Alright, Curia on Estelle. Oh. Oh,
Not now.
Alright, what we're going to do is finish off one of them. So, Bronco. Then bring back Joshua. Oh.
I'm sorry.
Oh.
I'm so sorry.
Well, that was nice. Right then. Right then. So Joshua's going to be busy attacking pink hair over here. And the other two are going to be taking on Blondie. Ow.
Not now.
We're good to go.
Ow. Really, ow. Oh, for God's sake. Right. Annoying. Just that constant loop of, okay, we need to revive that person, but they're not going to stay up. So we'll kill them again and get them up again, and it's a very annoying loop.
Now, light of the heavens, heal these battered wings. Radiant flash!
Please do. Right, we should have you. Should being the operative word in this sentence. Got him! Yay!
Piece of cake!
Go us! Alright, everyone leveled up to level 19. Estelle has learned Comet as a craft. Mayor Delmore cries, "It can't be! My sweet babies! How could you do this?" Estelle pants, "You're one to talk." Joshua says, "In accordance with Bracer Guild protocol, and this time with authority, we're placing you under arrest. Surrender and you will not be harmed." Mayor Delmore laughs. "You leave me no choice but to use my trump card." Estelle says, "Huh?" Joshua asks, "A wand?" Mayor Delmore says, "Time stop." Estelle says, "I can't move." Joshua asks, "Did he use an orbal art?" Kloe says, "No, this has to be an artifact." Niall asks, "So what the hell is that?" Mayor Delmore says, well, your knowledge is impressive, Miss Rins. This is the Kronos Rod, an artifact which happens to be a family heirloom. It can completely paralyze anyone within range in the blink of an eye." Estelle says, "That's crazy." Joshua asks, "How does the church not know about such a powerful artifact?" Mayor Delmore laughs. With a tool crafted by the wise ancients themselves, what else would one expect? Tactical ordnance can't even begin to compare to this. Sadly, it only has that one function, which means I'll have to sully my hands and dispose of you myself. You should consider this an honor. Let's see. I think I'll start with the smart-mouthed little brat first. Estelle demands, "Who are you calling smart-mouthed?" Mayor Delmore suggests, "Perhaps I'll save the intelligent girl for last." Kloe has nothing to say. Mayor Delmore laughs. "Now what was that you were saying about authority? You could plead for your lives, it might help, but I doubt it." Estelle asks, "To you?" "Yeah, right." Joshua says, "Keep your filthy hands off." Mayor Delmore asks, "What's that?" Joshua says, "Keep your filthy hands off of Estelle. Don't you harm a single hair on her head. or I'll use every technique I know to cut your miserable carcass to pieces. Mayor Dalmore gasps, what? Estelle says, Joshua. Kloe says, Joshua. Mayor Dalmore says, you certainly talk big for someone who can't even wiggle his fingers. Fine, start with you. Estelle says, stop. I'll never let you get away with hurting him. Joshua faces it stoically. Kloe cries, Joshua. Mayor Dalmore says, die. Estelle screams, no. Mayor Dalmore asks, what? Kloe says, that light. Niall says, damn it, if I could just reach my camera. Mayor Dalmore asks, what's going on? Kloe says, I can move again. Joshua asks, Estelle, what was that black light? Estelle shakes her head. I don't know, but I think it came from that orbment Dad sent us. Mayor Dalmore says, impossible. My family heirloom, my artifact, it's broken. Joshua says, it hardly matters since you've played your last hand. It's time to face reality. Estelle frowns. Yeah. I can't believe you'd really stoop this low. Kloe says, it's disgusting. Mayor Dalmore curses under his breath. I will not be taken in. And he runs off down the passageway. Estelle screams, ah! Joshua shouts, after him. Kloe says, okay. And off we go. Niall shouts, hey, wait up! I can't let a story like this get away. Butler Phillips says, oh my, I believe I've lost a few years off of what little remains to me. My lord, are you all right, my lord? Duke Junan mumbles in his unconscious state, monsters, the monsters. And we're flying through the mansion. Going down and out and all around. Oh, and it's a high-speed boat chase. Estelle shouts, hey, what's that? Kloe says, it's Mayor Dalmore's yacht. Estelle shouts, hey, wait! Joshua says, we can go after him in this boat. Come on, you two, get on board. They agree, yes. And jump on board the boat. And off we go, leaving Niall behind. Niall shouts, hey, let me come too. We're in the North Block of Rowan, and the drawbridge is about to open, so the Mayor's yacht can escape freely. Gee, that was perfect timing. Estelle shouts over the wind, all right, we're closing in. Kloe says, this craft is small and lightweight, so we have the edge, it seems. Oh dear, he's got a gun. Mayor Dalmore says, damn stubborn little... Take this! And Estelle is deflecting gunshots with her quarterstaff, as you do. Mayor Dalmore cries, what? Estelle laughs. Ah, that'll teach you not to underestimate a bracer. Joshua, flank him on the right. Joshua nods. Roger that. Huh? Estelle cries, "Wow, how'd he get so fast?" Kloe says the wind is blowing towards open water. It's catching his sails and giving him a boost. Joshua says, "Not good. At this rate, the yacht has a clear advantage. We won't be able to catch up." Estelle cries, "Say what now?" Mayor Dalmor laughs. "It looks like Aido smiles on me today. I bid you farewell, brats." And off he goes. Estelle screams, "You've got to be kidding! We were so close!" Joshua says, "He's going to get away. There must be something we can do. We could pull out his plug, I suppose." Estelle asks, "What the?" Kloe whispers to herself, "They're here." That's a big old airship. Mayor Dalmor says, "All right, getting away is all well and good, but what now? I guess I have no choice but to head for the Empire. Or if I lie low for a while, maybe he..." Or maybe this airship that just overtook you might have something to say about it. Mayor Dalmor cries, "Wah? And the airship lands on the ocean right in front of Mayor Dalmor's yacht. Mayor Dalmor asks, "What's this airship? Is it the Royal Army? No, the coat of arms is wrong." A woman's voice says, "It's the Royal Guard's ship. A high-speed cruiser. Her name is the Aziel." Aziel? Sele. Her name is Sele. A female officer says, well, looks like we got here just in time." Mayor Dalmor says, "That blue and white uniform. Are you Her Majesty's Royal Guard?" Female officer nods. "Precisely. I am the company commander, Julia Schwartz." First Lieutenant Schwartz says, "Mayor Maurice Dalmor of Rouen, I'm placing you under arrest for arson, robbery and embezzlement, amongst other charges." Mayor Dalmor gasps, "This is a dream. It has to be." No. And he collapses. And we just happen to putter up alongside. Estelle asks, "What's going on?" Joshua says, "Sean called the Royal Army for reinforcements. But how'd they get here so fast?" Kloe laughs. First Lieutenant Schwartz says, "Hello there, Brazers. Your cooperation is greatly appreciated. Please, let us handle this matter." Well, I presumed you were going to anyway. First Lieutenant Schwartz says, "I pressed Mayor Dalmor for information once he regained consciousness, but he apparently can't remember anything regarding the past few hours very well, if he remembers them at all. He's also drawing a complete blank about the arson and robbery." Estelle asks, "Really? Kinda like the leader of the Sky Pirates." Joshua says, "Maybe it's related to those men in black from before." First Lieutenant Schwartz says, "Well, even if he can't remember, crimes are pretty clear cut. It should go without saying that we'll be checking out his steward too. If we uncover anything, we'll be sure to let the Braces Guild know." Joshua says, "We appreciate it." Niall says, "By the way, Lieutenant, I have a favour to ask." First Lieutenant Schwartz says, "What might that be?" Niall asks, "Would it be at all possible for me to get on board that ship as well? It's supposed to be the most advanced airship ever to come out of Zeiss. It'd make for a great story, and I really need one. First Lieutenant Schwartz shakes her head. I'm afraid not. The Sele was only just completed and is still undergoing flight testing. I must ask that you not comment on her at all until she's officially unveiled. Niall says, "Oh, come on. You've got to at least give me something about the mayor and his steward being arrested." First Lieutenant Schwartz says, "Don't worry, the facts of the story will be given over to the Royal News Agency. Until then, please refrain from reporting any of this." Niall sighs. What choice do I have? All right, I can do this. I can write a story with even the barest scrap of info. I've got to hurry back to the agency and put these events to paper. Niall says, "If you'll pardon me, everyone." And off he trots. Estelle says, "Well, he's in his usual high spirits." Joshua laughs. "Would you expect anything less?" First Lieutenant Schwartz says, "I'm told that the Labelle News' circulation has increased dramatically of late. I hope he's not planning to write a big propaganda piece." Joshua asks, "What do you mean?" First Lieutenant Schwartz says, "Never mind." A man's voice says, "That was quite impressive, First Lieutenant Schwartz." First Lieutenant Schwartz says, "Colonel." Estelle says, "Whoa." Joshua says, "Colonel Richard." Colonel Richard says, "Oh, I remember you. I presume that you are the new braces the guild spoke of." Estelle says, "Oh, so you're the one Jean got in touch with, Colonel Richard." Colonel Richard. I'm having great fun with his name, aren't I? Colonel Richard says, "Yes, I received word at Leiston Fortress where the Royal Forces are stationed. I got here as quickly as I could, only to find that the crisis had passed." "Excellent work, Lieutenant." First Lieutenant Schwartz says, "That's very kind of you, sir." Captain Amalthea says, "Still, I wonder, what would bring the guards from the Royal City here, and so quickly? Perhaps you know of a route so secret as that even our intelligence division is unaware of it." First Lieutenant Schwartz says, "Surely you jest." Kloe says nothing. Colonel Richard laughs. "Come now, Captain, this is hardly a time to pick a fight. I was simply admiring the proactive stance of the Royal Guardsmen. It's good to have you on our side. If it pleases you, Lieutenant, we'll take over the investigation from here and move matters to the Leiston Fortress. I believe the mayor will be well attended to there." First Lieutenant Schwartz says, "Yes, sir, I understand." Colonel Richard says, "Now, if you'll excuse us, ladies and gentlemen of the Braces Guild and Royal Guard, and the young lady in the uniform. Fate willing, I think we shall see each other again, and with that I bid you farewell." Captain Amalthea laughs. "Safe travels, everyone." Estelle says, "Maybe I'm just imagining things, but did the Colonel look like he was eyeballing Kloe to anyone else?" Kloe asks, "Oh, was he?" Joshua says, "I'm sure it's just because he doesn't see students very often in his line of work. I wouldn't make too much of it." Kloe laughs. I'll bet you're right. That's probably it." Estelle says, "That's not the impression I got at all." First Lieutenant Schwartz says, "I'm certain that he's just as surprised as you are. It's hard to believe that Braces so young would be so capable. He might be scouting out to become part of the Royal Guard." Estelle grins. "Oh, come on, don't flatter us. We had a lot of help on this case." First Lieutenant Schwartz says, "You needn't be so modest. We're not full-fledged Braces yet, but I presume that you wish to become so." Estelle says, "Well, yes, we're in training for it." Joshua says, we intend to travel all over the country before the Queen's birthday celebration as part of our preparations. First Lieutenant Schwartz says, I see. You're partaking in self-study then. A Royal Guardsman calls out, Lieutenant Schwartz, everything is ready for the CO's departure. First Lieutenant Schwartz says, acknowledged. Estelle and Joshua, and Kloe too, of course. We must be leaving soon. I hope that our paths will cross again. Estelle says, yes, ma'am. Joshua says, we'll be looking forward to it. Kloe says, thank you very much. And Lieutenant Schwartz gets back aboard the airship and says, Regiment, attention! And the brass section pipes up. Estelle says, whoa. First Lieutenant Schwartz says, Royal Guardsman warship, Saleh, prepare for takeoff. And up she goes. Which is interesting, as she has no downward thrust. But, anyway. Estelle says, wow, a salute and fanfare to go with it. It's a little overwhelming. Joshua says, yeah, and a state-of-the-art airship is to boot. But I guess you'd expect as much from the defenders of Her Majesty the Queen. Kloe laughs. True. Estelle says, Lieutenant Schwartz sure is cool, though. She kinda reminds me of that character that Kloe played, Oscar the Knight. Kloe says, I think so too. What an odd coincidence. Zieg screeches something. And now we're back at the Bracers Guild. Jean says, oh, don't tell me the Royal Guardsman showed up. And the Saleh was there too. She's supposed to be cutting edge. It's too bad I just worked the info desk. I'd have liked to have seen that. Estelle says, I never figured you for the military enthusiast. Still, didn't you end up speaking to Colonel Richard? Jean says, yes, he was on duty at Leiston HQ. I don't know how the Royal Guardsman got there so quickly, though. I guess there's a lot more cross-communication in the military than I thought. Joshua says, amazing that they managed to communicate at all, given how many agencies there are. Regular Army, Border Patrol, Intelligence, the Royal Guard. It must be pretty complicated. Kloe says, cleaning up after an incident like this will be a major undertaking. What will happen to the administration of Rouen from now on? Estelle nods, yeah, since the mayor's been arrested. Jean says, I'd imagine they'll be sending in someone as acting mayor. And if Delmore is found guilty, elections will have to be held. Plus, reparations will probably be made towards the orphanage. Kloe says, really? Oh, thank goodness. All of this is thanks to Estelle and Joshua. Thank you so much, truly. Estelle blushes. Come on, you don't have to be so formal. Joshua says, we just did what was right. Plus, it wasn't just us. Agate played a big part. Estelle says, speaking of... Jean, have you received any word from him? Jean replies, yes, but unfortunately, I'm afraid he wasn't able to capture the men in the black uniforms. They were not alone, apparently. Agate was ambushed. Estelle gasps, what? Joshua asks, is he all right? Jean says, yes, he managed to defeat them. I believe he gave chase and they're on their way to Zeiss. By now, he's probably well outside of Rouen. Estelle says, wow, talk about hardcore. Jean says, well, he's got plenty of experience after all. He'd been chasing those black-clad characters for a while. I think they're related to a job your father asked him to do. Estelle asks, Dad asked him? Joshua adds, and Agate just did what he asked? Jean laughs. Well, the one to put Agate of the Ravens in his place was none other than Cassius himself. And whatever he might like to claim, Agate stood no chance against him. Estelle says, "Whoa, seriously?" Jules says, "Cassius really beats some sense into him, and Agate is too stubborn to simply say thanks and leave it at that." Joshua says, "Ah, I get it. Maybe that's why he's so abrasive when it comes to us." Estelle pouts. Abrasive barely covers that guy's attitude. Guess he's not so high and mighty where Dad's involved, huh? Kloe laughs. "Oh, speaking of your father..." Estelle asks, "Something wrong?" Kloe says, "What about that black orbment that lit up and saved our lives at the mayor's estate?" Estelle says, "Oh yeah, that's right. So how much..." Estelle says, "So much has been going on that I forgot all about it. I wonder what that was all about." Joshua says, "That orbment may have saved our skins, but it was still weird." Sean says, "An unusually coloured orbment, huh? What can you tell me about it?" Estelle says, "Well..." Estelle explained that it, along with a memo, had been in a package addressed to Cassius. Kloe says, "Oh my, that's quite a story." Jean says, From Kay asking about a Professor R. Could it be? Estelle asks, "You know what it means?" Jean replies, "Not specifically. I've got a hunch, but nothing to back it up. But if you want to know more about its origins, I'd suggest going to Zeiss." Estelle asks, "Why Zeiss?" Jean says, "As you should know, Zeiss is famous for the manufacture of orbments. There must be someone there who might know something about your orbment." Joshua nods. "Makes sense. We may never learn more about the black orbment without consulting an expert." Estelle says, "But we still have more training here to finish." Jean laughs. "Well, about that, you may want to prepare yourselves." We receive a recommendation. Estelle gasps. "What?" Joshua asks, "Really?" Jean laughs. "You had to have seen this coming. I mean, you got a recommendation from Bose after the Sky Bandit incident. Given your crucial roles in all the cases recently, I see no reason not to award it. Your assessment and reward have been prepared." We have received payment for festival help. We received 3,000 Mira and 5 BP, and our current rank is still Junior Bracer 5th class. Oh, we've now received payment for Theresa the Target. We received 10,000 Mira and 10 BP. We have advanced to Junior Bracer 4th class, and we received a Strike Quartz as a perk. Estelle says, "Wow, all this on top of the pay for performing in the campus festival." Joshua says, "Thank you for everything you've done for us." Jean says, "Come now, you've earned it. I confess, I'd also like to see you advance as quickly as possible. I believe we'll be able to make the best use of your talents this way." Estelle laughs. "Thank you, Jean." Joshua says, "We'll do our best to live up to your expectations." Kloe says, "Congratulations, both of you. It'll be kind of lonely here without you, though." Estelle says, "Kloe." Joshua says, "You're right. It'll be tough to say goodbye." Kloe says, "Oh, please don't mind me. I'm just being selfish. Will you please tell me when you find out what day you're leaving? I'd like to see you off, at least as far as the Air Latin checkpoint." And there ends Chapter 2, Madrigal of the White Magnolia. And that there will end this episode. So if you've made it this far, thank you very much for watching. We hope you have a wonderful day, and we will see you in Chapter 3 in the next episode.